Good evening. I am Sister Catherine Bryan from Maryville Academy. This evening, our guest is Scout Burns from the Maryville Crisis Nursery. So please stay with us because I think you're going to find some very interesting conversation about parent cafes. First, let me say we're watching Maryville Cares. This is a live, interactive show on Cable Access Network Television 21. We are also streaming online at cantv.org/hotline. cantv.org/hotline. So the next 25 minutes is an opportunity for parents, grandparents, other family members who are caring for young people to learn about and discuss how we help parents, particularly through parent cafes. If you'd like to make comments or ask some questions, you can call the number at the bottom of your screen. That telephone number is 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. And we welcome your calls. Finally, I just need to say that we are not providing any medical advice or legal advice in this session. But I think you will hear some very interesting possibilities as we talk with Scout. And so, Scout, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sister.
And this evening, we want to talk about parent cafes. I mentioned that in the beginning. What is a parent cafe, Scout?
So the parent cafes are an opportunity for parents and caregivers to get together and talk about what matters most, which is keeping our families strong. Free dinner and childcare is provided, and it's open to all members of the community. And it's just a time to get together and talk about the struggles, the joys, and any questions that parents may have about raising children.
So families, this may sound to you like parents getting together for coffee, getting together over a meal. We're going to hear more about that here. That kind of spontaneous or regular gathering for parents to talk to parents, a very important opportunity for them. And so let me ask you, parent cafe, where does that term come from?
It's a model by Be Strong Families, and they wanted to incorporate the word cafes because, just like you said, parents getting together over coffee, sharing a donut, and talking about the different things that are going on with them and their kids and their lives. So they took the word cafe because they wanted that laid-back experience for parents in the community.
So this is a proactive step for parents. It's not because somebody made them. It's not because somebody thinks they did something wrong. This is an opportunity for parents to decide they want to get together with other parents.
Right. It's not a parenting class in the traditional sense, and I always tell our parents it doesn't matter if you're a new parent, if your kids are grown, it's just a time for you to get together with other parents and share what's going on with you.
So you yourself facilitate some parent cafes, don't you, Scout?
Right.
And where do you have those sessions?
We have them at the Tolton Center, which is at 5645 West Lake Street. It's at Lake and Central, so it's in the Austin community, and we hold them there every other Tuesday.
Let me just say a word about that building, if I may. So some of our viewers might be familiar with it by another name. Until 2 years ago, that was the Austin Bank of Chicago, or ABC Bank, and the bankers kindly donated that bank building to Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago. Catholic Charities is allowing Maryville, that's our organization, to offer some services there as well. And therefore, Scout, you're going to the Augustus Tolton Peace Center at 5645
Yes.
West Lake Street.
Yes. It's a beautiful building. It still has the vault from the old banking days in there.
Indeed it does.
Beautiful.
Okay, so now a parent comes, and what you're saying is that there are different groups that have parent cafes. This is a particular series of parent cafes that you help facilitate. Is that right?
Right. So we began them in June, and we have them, like I said, every other Tuesday. So the next one is coming up December 4th, and you might see me there or someone else from the Maryville parenting team. Each parent cafe has a different theme. And it's just kind of an outline of what we're going to focus on. We've talked about healthy families, how we can keep our families healthy, and we've talked about self-care, which is so important. The self-care is so important to parents, and we talk about how parent cafes are actually a form of self-care. It's a time for them to take some time for themselves, because although that we do provide the child care, the children are cared for volunteers and staff while the parents go upstairs and kind of get a little bit of time to talk about, adult things, I guess you could say, some time away from the kids.
So one of the things we know is that for parents to maintain their energy and their health, they need some time for themselves.
Right.
It's not selfish. It's important for parents to take care of themselves so they can take care of their children. That's what you're telling us about, right?
Right. We had a mom come to a parent cafe not too long ago, and she said, I haven't talked to anyone over 5 in what seems like forever. So she was just grateful to talk to, other parents about what was going on with her. And like you said, just get some time to herself. And it wasn't selfish. And she felt significantly better afterwards. And she was excited to see her kids, but she had that time. And she looked like a different person after the parent cafe.
So the cafes that you facilitate, what time do they start?
They start at 5:30. Dinner is served
PM.
at 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
Every other Tuesday. And then about 6 o'clock is when the actual parent cafe starts. So we have a family-style dinner at 5:30, and the kids and the parents and the parenting team all eat together. And then about 6 o'clock, we go upstairs and have the actual parent cafes, and the children stay downstairs in the same building.
Okay, this is all at the Tolton Center.
Right.
Right, okay. So the parents go upstairs, and they're together for about how long?
About an hour and a half. It is over at 7:30.
And the parents how many parents would usually be coming for a session?
It just kind of depends. We are trying to get the word out a little bit more, but on average it's been about 10 parents. And the last parent cafe, it was a husband and wife, so this isn't exclusively to women. We have had a lot of women show up, but it's been on average about 10, I would say.
So it's a small enough group.
Right.
People can be talking to each other. It's not like they're sitting in a crowd listening to a lecture.
No.
Okay.
They are in small groups. Of that 10, they're in small groups with usually about 3 or 4 people per table. And so you're just talking about, what you're going through with the other participants at the table. No, there are, staff from our team there, but we're there just to, talk with you about our experience as well. I just want to emphasize that it's not a parenting class. It's just a time for parents to discuss what's going on with them and their families.
So, for example, a parent might say, when I try to have my child do this, he says no. A parent might say that? Or
Right.
Some examples?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny that you say that, because the last parenting class, the theme was about kids that have trouble listening, which is a lot of parents can relate to that. And, other members were talking about that they've had similar struggles. And what I always say is that they don't always come up with a solution. After you leave a parent cafe, you might not have an answer. But hearing that other family members and other parents and other caregivers are going through something similar just, makes you feel better. Like you're not the only one. And so they've talked about how their kids aren't listening. They've talked about, with the holidays coming up, it can be a stressful time. They have a lot on their plate. We have a lot of working parents that are working, raising children, and trying to provide, and it can get stressful. And talking to other parents on how they're managing that has helped them significantly.
And maybe some of the parents think, oh, if it's happening to others, I'm not a failure.
Right.
This is a normal child behavior, and we can talk about different strategies that work.
Yeah, and you're not alone, and you can hear what's worked for other people and maybe go home and try it. Or you can hear other parents say, this definitely didn't work for me. And so you can, learn from them. So
I'm going to just give us an opportunity to show how to call in to take such a program, the Parent Cafe. I'm showing an overhead from Maryville Crisis Nursery of 2 parent support programs. We're focusing on parent cafes, although we'll say a couple words about ACT classes later. But in case one of our viewers would like to be able to participate in this, here's a number to call.
yeah, and we ask that they call the Friday before the class, and they can ask to speak to a family advocate worker.
Now, I'm going to tease you because you just said class,
Oh, okay.
and you told us it's not a class, so, but it really is an opportunity to learn, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and I guess I say class just in the sense that we're all getting together and we're, working together
Right.
as, members of the community, and we're, exactly like you said, learning together. So it's not a class, it's a parent cafe. But yeah, if they could call the Friday before, ask to speak to a family advocate worker, and we can answer any questions you may have, and we will just add you to the list, and we'll expect to see you there.
Now, if I call and I want to sign up, am I going to be asked a lot of questions?
No, we will just ask how you heard about us, and you can say that you were watching this and I did a great job. And we'll ask if you're bringing any children with you, because like I said, we do provide childcare, and we just would like to know if you're bringing any children, so we can make sure that we have the appropriate amount of staff to help us with the kids, and then their ages. And typically that's all we'll ask over the phone. Like I said, just to make sure there's enough food and enough people to help with the kids, and just so we can have a better idea. But we're not going to ask many more questions.
Actually, what age children tend to come with parents?
We've gotten a pretty big gap. We've had children that are a month or 2 old, and then we've had some older kids, some 9 and 10-year-olds come. So there's no age limit as to what kids can come with their parents. But we've had, babies and older kids and everything in between.
And you have different activities depending on the age group, the volunteers.
Right.
The volunteers do different activities depending on the age group of the children, right?
Right, and we have enough volunteers that we've been able to kind of split them up by the ages. I know that the older kids have really been playing Uno most times, and they get a kick out of that. So, and then the younger kids are just kind of hanging out with the volunteers, and playing whatever age-appropriate activities they kind of choose to. So
parents don't have to worry about their children. Their children are in the same building, just on the first floor there in the play area, and the parents can check on them anytime they need to.
Right. Yes. So, and we really encourage parents. The kids are in good hands. They're having just as much fun as the parents are upstairs, and it's all after a good meal, so everyone's full, and they're in good hands.
Maybe one more thing we should mention about the Tolton Center for parents who might be traveling by car. There's a nice parking lot on the west side of the building, so there's plenty of room for parking.
Right, that's a deal breaker in Chicago. So yes, there is parking, plenty of parking, and they can, there's security there as well to let them in the building once they get there. And then we'll be right in the front doors as well.
And of course, there's very, very across the street from an L stop, and half a block from the bus stop as well.
Right.
So some good transportation opportunities. Let me pause just for a moment to remind us all that we're watching Maryville Cares live on Cable Access Network TV 21, and also streaming live on cantv.org/hotline. And this evening, we're talking about parent cafes and how these can be supportive of parents as they're raising their children. So, Scout, I want to come back to this. You mentioned that this is a model developed by Be Strong Families. And that means I, who have not had the training, I wouldn't be able to just go in and run a parent cafe, because I haven't had that kind of training.
Right.
So talk a little bit, if you would, about the kind of training that Be Strong Families does so that you and others who are prepared for this know how to conduct the parent cafes.
So the model really focuses on the protective factors, and you're really quizzing me now, but the protective factors, there's 5 of them. And Be Strong Families compares them to ingredients in a recipe. You need all these things to keep your family strong. So the protective factors are concrete support in times of need, social connections, knowledge of child and parent development.
I wasn't trying to quiz you on
Okay,
this.
yeah.
I want to go back to the one you just mentioned, child development.
Right.
So part of the premise of parent cafes is that it's important parents understand the different developmental levels of their children.
Right, because the way we talk about it is you need to know where your child should be at developmentally so that you know how to help them and how to advocate them with others, and helping them have the words they need to advocate for themselves.
So if I say, my baby keeps doing this, my little infant or toddler keeps doing this, and I say no, and my child doesn't respond, do you say to me a child doesn't understand that until a certain age?
Yeah, we'll talk about the different milestones and how, depending on the age of the child, they might not have that cause and effect part of their brain. So they might not know when you throw a rock at a window, it will break it, and that's why I'm telling them to stop throwing the rock. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about why it's important to have healthy expectations of our children, and how those healthy expectations don't always make our lives easier, but it will help us understand our children better, and it will help, hopefully, us have a better relationship with them.
And so if I don't understand what milestone my child's at, I might have expectations that are unrealistic for my child.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I remember in past years working with a family, the child kept playing with the burner on the stove, and one of the family members thought the way to teach the child not to play at the stove was to burn the child's hand at the stove, which of course injured the child. Mm-hmm. That's not understanding the milestone. That's not knowing how either to teach the child.
Exactly, and because who knows, that child may not understand the reason I was burnt was because I was playing with this, but they might not have that connection. And so knowing where your child is at will help you parent them more effectively, because depending on where he was developmentally, maybe you just move him. Every time he gets near the stove, just move him. It just kind of depends, but these parent cafes give us a chance to talk about that. Because if that's something that you're dealing with, how do I handle my child that keeps playing with the burner? You're not alone in this. Chances are other parents have dealt with something similar, and so it just gives you that opportunity to talk to other parents, other caregivers about these struggles and these new learning experiences that children always help us have.
Drew, so I'm going to show again our viewers how they can sign up for a parent cafe if they would find that to be helpful from some of what you're talking about, the kinds of questions that parents might bring up. What are some of the most common examples that parents want to talk about with each other?
I would say balancing, being a parent and the 20, 30 other things that you have going on, and how you balance being a parent and working, but also taking care of yourselves. And sometimes it's easier to not take care of ourselves, but we really emphasize how important it is to, you're a better parent when you're taking care of yourself, and you can't pour from an empty cup. And so we really talk about that a lot at parent cafes. No matter what the topic is, it seems to always come up, taking care of yourself and how you manage that with children.
So I'm going to take you for a moment from the Parent Cafe to another program that we're working with, which is a companion program, and this is the Be the Flow Wellness Program. And our viewers can see the information. This also is held at the Tolton Center, and this is on Saturday mornings. We have the meditation, the yoga, the fitness. Now, Scout, I know you don't operate this particular program, but can you tell us a little bit about it?
So like you said, it is at the same location and it's Saturday mornings, and kind of just tying it into what we were talking about earlier with self-care, taking care of yourself, doing something for yourself. It gives parents and community members an opportunity to do something that is healthy for their mind, body, and soul. Children that are 8 and older can also participate, so it is a great healthy bonding experience for children and their parents or caregivers to experience in a safe location, and it's people leave feeling significantly more relaxed is what I've heard.
Yes, it is, and let me just show that again. Scott Riley, who has created Be the Flow Wellness Program, is working with our Maryville CYO youth organization. And as you can see from the ad, and Scout has just been saying, it starts with some meditation, which Scott leads at 9 o'clock, takes a break before 10, and then at 10 some yoga and opportunity, and then takes a break before 11, and 11 is the fitness. And as Scout just said, parents are welcome to bring their children. This is not a program where children can be sent without the parent. The young person must come with the adult who's participating in the program. The young person must be how old?
8.
8 or older. We're not providing childcare at this particular Saturday morning. The child is involved with the adult in the activities that are taking place. But it is an important time for you, parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, whoever is providing the childcare. It's a time for you to take care of you so that you can take care of your child. And that's the kind of support we want to also provide. Am I saying this correctly, Scout?
No, you're right on the money, and it's just it's great to take those couple hours on a Saturday morning. I know that I have a million things I want to do on a Saturday, but to start the day off, with meaningful meditation, it's great.
I want to just give our viewers one more chance to see how to sign up for parent cafes. And the parent cafes, you see we have a phone number there, 773-205-3637. 773-205-3637. And if you don't have that number down, if you check the MaryvilleAcademy.org website, you'll be able to find the information on the website as well. But what we're talking about tonight, the whole idea of parent cafes, what you're telling us about, is a way for parents to be with others who have the same responsibility as parents, talking about ways to care for children. They're all coming out of experience, right? They're all talking about, this is what happened in my home. Does this happen in your home? Or this is what happened in our neighborhood with our children, park, wherever, and does this happen with your children, right?
Right, and we've had people come that aren't necessarily parents. We've had aunts come that are, very meaningful people in their nieces or nephews' life, and they, are interested too. So it is a call to Parent Cafe, but it is not just for parents.
Thank you. That's a perfect way for us to close this up, I think. Don't forget about parent cafes. Please keep in mind that this is an opportunity for you and your family. I thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sister Catherine Ryan from Maryville Academy. Our guest has been Scout Burns, who's from our Maryville Crisis Nursery. If you need more information, you can reach us at Maryville Academy. Thank you. Good evening.